Habits are talked about a lot more in this age of self-development and self-care. Successful creators, massive company leaders, and even your grand's friend's uncle talk about building good habits nowadays. And it isn't for any random reason. Habits are the building blocks to what our life can look like, and can often tell a lot about a person, depending on the habits they choose to build. Habits are critical for anyone looking to push themselves to the next level. And you see YouTube after YouTube video talking about them, why habits are so good, what they do to your life, and how they will change everything you do. But often don't tell you the difficulty of doing so when you're maybe in a rut or just have bad habits already. And this was something I struggled with massively when trying to develop it further. What you do in your day-to-day life is built up of all of your habits, each choice leading down the road of productivity and non-productivity. Most choose the non-productivity route for the time that really matters and is stopping you from moving forward with your life. James Clear talks about this heavily within Atomic Habits, and he names it the habit loop, and it starts with cue, craving, response, and reward. Each part of the habit process needs to be looked at and is actually really important for the building of a new habit, or the building of good habits for your future self. Cue talks about what is triggered in your brain. This could be something from a time, a location, or the common one when your phone lights up and you look over it. That is the sort of cue for you to pick up your phone and check what it is. Second is craving, and this is often sort of overlooked because what we don't realize is it's not often the reward, the final part of the habit loop, that makes us perform anything that's a bad habit, such as eating junk food. It's the craving of the feeling we will get when we eat that makes us want to eat the junk food, which in turn makes so much sense for all the bad habits that I used to have. I would never feel great after finishing something that was terrible for me to eat, but it was the feeling of eating something that was like that made me do it. Next is the response, which is pretty self-explanatory. Whatever happens after that is the action that you take depending on the response you give when you're moving through that. And finally, the reward. What you're going to get after you've completed the habit with whatever you have done. Usually, if you've ate something really bad for you, you're probably not going to feel that great after it. And the other way about, when you go to the gym and you come out of it, you feel pretty satisfied as you've worked hard and pushed yourself to be a healthier you. How do we then implement these into our lives? Realistically, and not sort of pushing the barriers that we're just never going to achieve. You first have to choose which habit you want to build. Why myself and so many failed at their initial try at good habit building was because they chose so many habits to do at the same time. There was just too much to handle. This time, however, we have the secret, and I call it the foundational habit. Your foundational habit is the one that's going to set you up to start working on a better future you. The focus here is picking out a habit that is going to make you the most excited to do. This is when we come into the making it attractive sort of format within the habit loop. If you are someone who enjoys to play sports, then maybe fitness is going to be your first foundational habit. Or if you're someone who really likes to learn and wants to start getting into books more, then maybe reading is going to be your foundational habit. The important part here is we make it something that we actually already quite enjoy. We just want to get into more, and we want it to become a habit for ourselves. We're not pushing the limits by trying 6 different habits at the one time, but choosing one foundational habit that's going to start off this process. The important part of this is by making it easy, attractive, obvious, and just simple to do. We're going to allow the sort of fountain to start flowing down as we build more habits. The point of this is to not just build one habit for the rest of our lives. The point of this is to start building habits that our future self is going to use, whilst also building on more and developing ourselves further. Instead of just reading and never doing anything, we're reading and actually taking action with it. Instead of reading about fitness and how to become better with it, we're actually going to the gym and working on ourselves. If we're going to take reading as an example, we can say that you're going to read 3 pages of your book while you're sitting at your desk at 8:45 AM before you go and get your morning coffee. Through the use of James Clear's book here, he names this implementation intention, basically making a new habit with a dedicated space, time, and location for you to do it. The formula will be up on the screen right now, you'll be able to see exactly what I mean, and you can use this to your own habit that you want to build. By doing this, you're clarifying exactly what you're doing, making it obvious, and making it extremely easy because you're only having to read 3 pages of the book when you start out. The point of starting this way is because our brain has not worked out yet that this is a habit. All it is a change in our lifestyle, an adjustment that could maybe only last a day or two, which I can agree that a lot of us have started habits in a day or two, they are completely gone. So nothing is dead set in stone here. And this is why we need to start really simple, making it really obvious and attractive from the get-go. The habit I'm going to focus on here is reading. I decided 54 days ago that I would start reading intentionally every single day. So that meant instead of skimming through the book, I would take it in, learn from it, read summaries and create videos to help me understand it further and do more research so I could implement it into my own life. Just like you're seeing this video right now. And that all started with the habit loop. For one of my habits, I read 1 chapter of Atomic Habits each night before I went to bed. First hardcover I'd ever read since high school. And I know that's not too long ago, but for me, that was quite a big achievement. And at the end of each chapter, I was desperate to read another. And I mean, I really wanted to go through that whole book in one night and then start implementing it into my life. I put the book down, I went to bed, and I was excited for the next day when I got to read again. The reason for doing this was because I knew that if I overwhelmed myself with this habit, I would only probably read that book once and then never do anything with it. Never read another chapter, never look at another book, not read any summaries, and not even create this video that you're watching right now. You may be wondering then, me creating summaries of every single chapter, surely that doesn't make it easy and attractive for anyone looking to just start to read. And you're right, but I actually didn't start creating summaries of any of the books I read until I was 2.5 books in with what I wanted to do. Why? Because I wanted to make the habit something that was built into who I was and my identity shift. I wanted to become a reader, and as I felt myself becoming more confident in that and making sure that habit existed in my day-to-day life, I then wanted to start implementing it more. Why I've created YouTube videos, posts on my Instagram, on my social medias, and talking about this in my day-to-day life is because of this exact reason. I want to implement what I learn. My identity is now not only becoming someone who reads, but someone who actually takes action on what they learn. For those who have mastered things in their life that I would love to even get 10% of. I solely read 1 chapter of that book and didn't start the summaries because I knew I needed to build that habit first. I'd failed so many times before because I tried too much at the very start and failed instantly, like a lot of us do. The final part of the habit loop is to make it satisfying. We all want reward for when we do good. This is why we feel so great when we get a like on our social media post, or someone tells us that we did a good job. However, we need to train ourselves to delay gratification, as long-term results won't come in the blink of an eye. The question is, how do we keep up our habits and learn delayed gratification? One simple way I've learned to do this is through a habit tracker. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but hear me out in this one. The reason why so many of us are addicted to our phones is because of the dopamine effect. Yes, there's other parts to play in it, but getting that like on social media, you don't really get that feeling elsewhere. It's a feeling of accomplishment, that you've achieved something, that someone appreciated what you've done. And we need to give ourselves appreciation and reward for the habits and systems we're trying to implement into our lives. This is also why you see the studies of the people who write down their habits are way more likely to succeed than those who don't. And those who even have an accountability partner, whether that be a mentor, coach, or friend, are even way more likely to succeed as they are seeing the rewards from the work that they are putting in and having them written down. They are visible to you. And when your brain can actually see that you have done the habit, you then tick off the habit, you're rewarding yourself in the short term to say, hey, I'm building this good habit and this is actually going somewhere. Another important factor that I've made sure to do is to make it really clear and obvious for me where it is. All my habits are right there. Well, the important ones that I'm building, and the others are on Notion, which I've showed you earlier on. This is because every day I see them, I look at them, I look at what I want to achieve and what I have already achieved. I see that I've ticked off a lot of boxes already for a lot of the good habits that I'm building, and I don't want to ruin that chain. It feels to me that I'm now at a point where if I ruin it, then I'm an idiot, because there's no point. We should make personal growth a necessity for every single part of our day. And when we don't, all we're doing is we're letting ourselves down. Nobody else cares if you've failed on your habits. Probably actually celebrate when you do, because not many people want to see you succeed. But the only person you should worry about in building the good habits for yourself is you. because it's not for anyone else. Over time, as the habit becomes more automatic, you might not need to do this anymore. You might not need the reward system that gets you the short-term gratification of completing a habit, because that is what we're trying to do here. Work on delayed gratification, understanding that the habits we do today are going to help us in a year, 2, and 10 years time from now, if we're just willing to put that work in the early stages before it becomes an automatic habit. Building better habits is something I've become a little bit obsessed with over the last 2 months. I've been doing a lot more research, I've been reading books, and I've really been trying to implement it into my life and find systems that work for me. There's small changes that I make every single week to try to make it easier and to fit a little bit better into my lifestyle, and I think it's important for every single one of you to do the same. Someone's system isn't going to work exactly for you, but if you can take it off of the expert systems at the start and then sort of delegate the areas that do work better for you, that is where you're going to see the true growth, as you're making it relevant to the identity you want to build, and also having a little bit of a stepping stone ahead of everyone else who just tries to do it on the fly. One of the other important factors I want to make sure is that as I read books, I'm actually implementing them into my life. I've seen a lot of people who sort of try to boast a little bit about all the books that they read in a year, everything they've learned, when in reality you don't really see much change. And this is exactly why I'm creating chapter summaries of everything that I read, making videos to reinstate all that I'm learning so that my research is continuing even after I have finished a book. And also having the ability to explain what I've learned in book format, but turning it into a video and something that may be entertaining is a challenge in itself. And it's helping me retain more information from the books I'm learning and becoming more knowledgeable in the areas I'm genuinely trying to improve in my life. And I hope that can do the same for you. If you would like more of these sorts of videos where the books that I read, I take a part of it that I've really resonated with and actually implemented into my life and tell you about it and maybe how you can do it as well, let me know, because obviously the more information I get back on whether you like it or not, the better it is for me to want to continue something like this, because I know it's actually helping you improve yourself. This channel is dedicated to the journey of building a business and showing you the process as I go along. Instead of me showing once success has arrived, I want to show you everything I'm trying to learn, because even if I look back 11 months and when I started these videos, it was wildly different to what it is now. I want to thank everyone who's continued to support me with these videos, and all the patrons who are supporting me. You're actually helping me a lot more than you know. There's a lot coming in 2021. I've got the plan sorted, it's coming along, and I'm really excited to see everything that arrives. If you'd like to watch any other videos on the channel, I'm sure somewhere in the suggested box at the side and also on the screen right now. Have a fantastic day.